Really?
Yeah, he's hella gifted. Like, really gifted.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like, when we first moved to our place, like, I had a bunch of electronics to set up. And I came home from work and he's like, hey, Dad, I got everything, all the video games and all the stuff all plugged in, all ready to go. But today he sold something on eBay and he had to box it up. Could not figure that out at all. He was trying to use painter's tape, scotch tape. Like, what do you do? And he couldn't wrap his head around why you would want, like, oh, it's like, buddy, go whatever. It was hilarious.
What are they teaching you in school, son?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness. That's funny. So we do have a little up on some of these young kids then, because we at least know how to put things in a box.
I can ship something. And,
I can ship something, yeah. I can go to the post office.
Exactly. I couldn't format a document into 2 different programs, but you know what?
Yeah.
You want priority? Same day? Media mail?
Ooh, I got you.
That's awesome.
Oh,
that's way
my
cool.
Goodness, that is very cool. Okay, you ready to rock and roll?
Oh, yep.
Okay.
Cool. Sorry.
It's okay.
This will just be the intro.
Just you flipping your hair.
Yeah. Making fun of dumb children.
Hello and welcome to the Essence of You podcast. I am Steph Lokelani, your host, and I am here with my very good friend, Joey Maxey, who I absolutely adore. And we don't see each other enough for me to express that adoration.
So you decided to put me on the spot and do this on air instead of just...
Yep.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
See how good we are together?
I know. It's amazing. Our chemistry is wonderful.
What I like to do is start with how we first met, and then I'll go through the intro that you wrote for me. So...
Don't read that.
Okay.
Absolutely. No,
we won't do that.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm pretty sure the first time we met was a retreat audition.
Correct. Yep. It was the retreat audition. And I think it was I don't even know how that connection was even made.
I have no idea.
Allison, I'll bet. I think it was Allison.
Oh.
Because you guys knew each other from
before. We did, yeah.
And I think she had mentioned that there was this program that was auditioning stuff. So then I auditioned. And then the funny part was that I didn't get cast at first.
Correct.
And then a week later, you guys contacted me and said, we'd love to have you if you'll be involved.
If you'll take us back.
Like, if I'll take you back? Okay. If I must. Yeah, I think that's how it was. And then it just kind of went from there. It was really fun. Yeah.
And so Retreat was a feature film that we created. It was myself. I was the writer, and I shot it with my now ex-husband. And it was a feature film about a group of friends who get together after their friend dies of cancer.
Yeah, it was a really good script. It's still a good script, honestly.
You.
I'm not going to lie. About a year ago, I was thumbing through it again because I still have it on my shelf. It's really, really good, and it's just as poignant today as it was then. Because there's like 6 main characters, and they're all at different points, different stages in their life journeys.
Yep.
So you can. No matter where you're at in life, you can almost jump from character to character and totally understand where they were at that point in their journey. And it was really, really cool. Yeah, probably the most emotional experience of my life as far as connecting with the character I was playing. Not that I played a lot of characters, but I guess that's kind of an actor thing to say, though. It's like I was just really connected with this person. You were a tree in a Dracula play. It's like, I know, but...
I was so connected to that tree.
I was a birch, and I don't think you would understand how important it was to be a birch. I don't know. But yeah, no, it was really a wonderful experience. And to be able to film that in almost like a week And then we only had a few pickup shots here and there.
Yeah.
And like you and your ex were like unreal, like your guys' like drive and productivity, so to speak. I mean, if that's the right word, like from morning to evening, you guys just were nonstop going from scene to scene to scene. Us dumb actors were just sitting around bored out of our mind, exhausted, doing nothing. And you guys didn't, because like you also provided food. It's like you're cooking.
We were cooking.
And then setting up, like, what are we doing here? You don't have to do any of this stuff. Like, this was a blast. But yeah, it was really good. I'm very much grateful for the experience. I mean, just even to have a copy of the finished product in hand is like awesome. Because then I could share that with family. I can share that with anybody who wants to watch it.
Yes.
And it's a really good story.
It is a good story. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And yeah, we had a great time because we stayed at one of the actors' family's cabins out in a town called Ola, or out past Ola, like past Sweet and Ola, and just like way up in the hills. And we all spent the night there for a week. And that to me was the fun part, was just, okay, we're done shooting for the day. Dinner's been made. Everybody's eaten. I'm doing the dishes and everyone's hanging out.
Yeah, we're just sitting around and like getting served. And then, you guys were setting up cameras and lights and the thing that's on rails, whatever, the dolly, that thing, of course, the dolly. Some people have a way with words and others don't, I guess. To set all that stuff up. And I've been fortunate to be on a couple like film sets, and the efficiency was just amazing. Like it's a rarity in making films.
It is
to go from scene to scene quickly. Yeah, the efficiency. I mean, I've been on a couple projects where we're literally sitting there doing nothing. Neither the director or the anybody. Just, all right, well, I guess we're just sitting here in this park waiting. Like I didn't. So it's a skill, and it's a good skill to be able to go from scene to scene and to be able to have that blend out. And it was really a testament to your guys' pre-planning and the process to get that all taken care of was just really impressive. So I've had the interest, but not the drive. Well, not the drive, but the means and like opportunity to like direct something and to facilitate all the different things. But I would imagine that going through, not everything has to be like a big thing.
Yeah.
You've probably been on one of those sets where you're sitting at a dinner table saying the same line 10 times.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And you're like, okay, how can I say this differently? Because I think I've done all 10 versions of that line that I can provide for you right now.
And my problem is that I'll like not make stuff up, but just like improvise something that, whether it's good or not, obviously a good director will tell you whether it works or not. So then you have to be as spontaneous again, saying the exact thing that you kind of made up on the spot, which in a vacuum is kind of disrespectful. Because like the written word is important. It was written a certain way. You can't just like change it. But on certain projects, there's a little bit of flexibility. It's just a matter of reading the room and saying if that's something that's appropriate or not. So, what's written on the page is for a reason. I can totally respect that. But yeah, to try to be spontaneous like that is just really.
And then bring it back. Take after take after take. Yeah. And you're like, I actually don't remember what I just did.
Exactly.
My head was in a black hole. I was performing.
Exactly. That's what's really good about not being like a method actor.
Ooh.
You shouldn't have to. You could be you and then be your character.
Yes.
And if your character is completely overtaking you, I don't know if that's just. I know that's some people's way. It's also a crutch. I'm like, you're just using that excuse to be kind of rude. Like, you don't have to at the cost of like the mental health of the of the room, of everyone's energy, to just suck all that stuff up. So I don't know if it's kosher to say or not, but I don't know that I could ever be like, you look at films of like Jim Carrey or even Robin Williams before he passed. Like, can you imagine how fun, but then like exhausting that would be to just watch this person just suck every ounce of energy? It's like, I don't know. I guess that's one of my pet peeves is method acting to such a degree that's overtaken. So if you're watching this at home, then just be you.
Just be you.
Just be you. It's fine.
Yes. Well, especially when you have to go and be in the rest of your life and the rest of the world, like after you shoot a scene or anything. And I know that we're coming at this from, say, an independent film aspect where we all do go back to our jobs and back to our lives instead of having the trailer that we're staying in for 5 weeks or something while we shoot
$20 million for your...
Exactly. You're probably doing it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I think that's the great equalizer, when the people that are able to do it for free, I think it is a really good equalizer. If you know, like, oh yeah, I'm making way more money than this person. Like, I think the money should be way better spent behind the camera. I mean, that's just, if none of that was there, you're just sitting in a dark room talking to yourself.
Oh, like, exactly. Yeah.
I don't make no qualms on like an actor being, no, we're not special. There's plenty of us out there. There's plenty. But there's only so many people that are good at lighting and using the camera and that kind of stuff. Like, put it there. That's where it belongs. Yeah.
Well, and like, speaking of lighting and being good at it, for example, I know how to light. I've learned through my degree program. I've learned through trial and error. I've learned through doing this for years and years and years. I will never say that I am a good gaffer and good at lighting, because I know how, and I can make you look really pretty, but you want that juicy, like, the lighting is helping tell the story. I'm going to bring someone in who knows how to do that.
Yeah, that's interesting, because not too long ago, I kind of fell down this rabbit hole of lighting, especially with the newer major motion pictures. It's a weird, pretentious way to say that. Major motion pictures, the cinema. With movies, like, nothing looks real anymore at all. Even when they're just like, obviously like a Jurassic Park, whatever, it's not going to look real, but like.
Oh, but it felt so real.
I guess.
The original.
Well, yeah, the original. That's what I'm saying. Okay, that's where I'm getting at. So the original, to this day still looks like one of the few movies that still gives me goosebumps.
Yes.
To this day. But like the newest one, the Rebirth or whatever. I mean, you could tell they filmed it in front of something like this.
Yeah.
But even Goofy, like Happy Gilmore 2, it doesn't need to look like that. And it looks really plastic. Nothing really looks organic.
I haven't even seen it really.
Yeah. A lot of movies are that way. And it's been that way for years, is just nothing really looks organic. Even if you go watch the second Jurassic Park, they're at a real place. There's a tactileness to that just doesn't really exist. And I found out, or from what my understanding is, a lot of that changed when they switched to like a more of a LED style instead of the old school incandescent things. In fact, the movie Drive, which I've never seen, but
oh, that's a good movie.
Great.
It is very good. I think I own it on TV.
I should probably watch it, because I hear it's really good. Where they filmed that, I guess it takes place in California.
Yeah.
So from what I understand is they switched out a lot of their street lights to this kind of an LED thing, which they even do here. And that just changes the whole feel of like outdoor shoots, because a lot of times they're using the light that's there on top of their own. And that just these really interesting, environmental changes just really just change the thing. So yeah, it is a skill, but be able to set it up and make it look nice is really cool. So
yeah.
I mean, for my little projects, I just use like some ring lights that I got from, we'll call them Malbort store that work better if I was doing makeup tutorials for TikTok instead of standing in my garage. So yeah, these little box lights are really nice.
Yeah, these are great lights that I bought and I love. And they right now they're set on daylight, which is 5,600 Kelvin.
Okay.
And they can go all the way down below 3,200. And 3,200 Kelvin is about what our houses sit at. So it's more orange, more yellow, more warm.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of these lights is you can adjust it to be the type of environment that you want to be in. And I prefer to shoot in the daylight setting, 5,600, because this is a podcast and it makes us pop.
You're still shooting at 5,600, huh? Okay, cool. I don't know.
I can tell. I have to be careful. Like when I'm with clients and I start geeking out about the lighting and stuff, I'm realizing, oh, no, we're just going to take a step back. I got it. We're taken care of.
I love it.
We've got this.
Nope. I love learning new things and hearing about people's expertise. Like I said earlier, before we started, the learned knowledge and respecting information from learned people. Oh yeah, for sure. Why would you not want to know things that, especially if they're giving you information for free?
Yes.
In an environment where everything costs money, like they're going to, even if it's like one setting on something, like, I want to know what that is. So, yeah, I'm not a fool.
No, you're not. Okay, I'm going to get to your bio that you wrote.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I like this. You said, Joey Maxey is a collector of hobbies and purveyor of nonsense. When he's not being an actor, writer, dancer, singer, artist, jigsaw puzzle, YouTuber, director, podcaster, cosplayer, and comedian, he is your child's favorite janitor.
Yes.
Talk to me about that, because I have seen the algorithm is very kind to us, and I do get to see your posts.
Oh, nice.
And I love when you post about like the little kids at school today gave me this gift or this or that. Tell us about being an elementary school janitor.
I am not trying to be over dramatic. For me personally, it's the greatest job I have ever had. Absolutely ever. I started like my real life career when I was like 16. Like I was still full-time at my high school, and I was working full-time in the evening at that mall workplace. And I was there for 24 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought, okay, I'd been checked out for a decade even before then, but it was like a single day where I just hit the wall and like, okay, it's time for me to find the exit. And it was, I promise I'll get to what you were asking. So,
I know you will.
The last job that I did there was delivering the groceries to the cars for the online pickup. Which would have just been like 1,000 years in the future from where we were at in 96 when I started.
Yeah.
That was not even, anyway. So I was putting groceries in people's cars. And if we don't have what they need, you have to say, hey, we made it a problem. It was Christmas Eve, like 2:00 in the afternoon on Christmas Eve. And I was putting the groceries in the car. And I had to tell the lady, like, you asked for a big bag of Skittles. We didn't have that. So we gave you like 4 or 5 of just the regular ones you get by the register.
That makes a fine sense.
Exactly. Like, you need Skittles. Here's more Skittles than you would have bought. And like, here it is. I'm sorry they're in multiple packages. They are recyclable. And she lost her mind. Absolutely lost her mind on me. And she said, you didn't have the Skittles? You realize that you've ruined my Christmas.
Oh, God.
Like, I ruined her children's Christmas because I was the one that brought Skittles to their car. Like, I didn't even make that. This is the thing. And just was just a monster to me in the parking lot. Now, I understand it's Christmas Eve. It's stressful. People are busy. But, like, that was it. Like, I'm sitting here just absolutely just breaking my back, getting yelled at because I don't have someone's Skittles. So that was pretty much the end of the line for me. I thought, well, if I can hold out one more year, it'll be 25 years. But I just couldn't do it. I was about 6 months later is when I finally put all the paperwork in, emotionally ready to leave. I could have, but that 25th year would have been the other side of another Christmas season. And like, I didn't have it. So I left. And I worked, I went to the hospital, worked at one of the big local hospitals in here as a receptionist because I wanted something completely different. Retail was no longer for me.
Yeah.
That just wasn't my deal anymore. So as a reception at a hospital, that had its challenges. It was interesting. I left there. And I left there because I told myself when I left the retail store that I put in 2.5 decades for somebody else. And I ate lots of crow for years and years and years for different things. So then, okay, I'm in a position now where I'm going to find something that I enjoy and my tolerance level will be a lot less. But my buy-in will be a lot less as well. Like, and I mean that in a positive way. Like, I want to give them everything that I have. And as long as my piece that comes back is a little bit bigger than nothing, than a little, that's cool. Like, good life and work balance. I'll do everything I can for you. And then at the second, it got kind of, uneasy feeling. Then I didn't marry my work.
Yeah.
So, and I said, I'm not meaning this in a bad way. So left the hospital and I got hired at one of the schools in the Boise district here. It was really good. It was fun, but it was a huge school. So this was a multi-language K through 7th or 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
School. Yeah, it was huge. Tons of people. And it was a bilingual school. So we had a lot of Mexican folks and a lot of like refugees. And if you're familiar with this town we live in, that's actually not the safest place at all. It should be the most loving place. I mean, these people are here with nothing. And like, we had to be very careful of suspicious cars would pull in the parking lot. Oh. Because people are crazy and they don't like brown people that they don't recognize, that don't talk like them. I don't want to be, I'm not going to be, I'm not going to. Anyway, people have really weird and mean ideas. So
they do.
So it had its challenges, but it was really fun. I loved it. I loved working with kids. But a huge undertaking like that, huge school, I mean, over 1,000 kids, it was just a lot.
That is a lot.
And it got to be a little too much for me. And again, I loved it. Too much for me. So I went and I was actually cleaning houses for a while, and that was a lot of fun. Oh. I started doing my own house cleaning thing. I had a little,
right.
Yeah, the Brute Squad.
Yeah.
Thing, which was really fun. I loved cleaning houses after people moved out of them. Because sometimes, you just need to get a good once over, but nobody has time to want to do that after they move. So I'm like, here, give me a few bucks and I'll give you a nice good once over. It's not going to be hospital clean, but it's going to be nice. And then, what's funny was that I went from giant retail store to a hospital to an elementary school, all during a pandemic.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was pretty wackadoo. Anyway, so let's auger this baby into working at the school that I work at now. I actually got, this kind of ties into what I wrote you about before the show. Like I was able to get hired at my dream job, which was delivering the mail. The United States Postal Service.
Yes.
Was my absolute dream job from a little kid because my dad delivered the mail. And my aunt and my uncle down in California did. In fact, my aunt was the union president down there. So really cool.
Yeah.
One of the things, yeah. I just was always fascinated by that aspect of like the government. It's the most, like that's the one aspect of the government that you have the most contact with, because everybody receives mail. It's wonderful. The history of it. They used to have bank accounts. You can go to the post office and order a bank account. they used to send children through the mail.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, there's pictures of you literally, these mailmen would carry babies or little kids from place to place.
Like what for? Like go hang out with your auntie for the summer?
Yeah. Go. I'm buying a nice, sturdy Irish kid. I have no idea like what they were doing, but like, yeah, you can send children through the mail back then.
I'm so glad you cannot do that now, because I bet all my nieces and nephews would be at my house right now or here in the studio. We've got Jimmy behind that camera. We've got John behind that camera. That's not even their names.
Well, now you have to use FedEx for that. Yeah, so I was delivering the mail and I loved it. I got to the part that I was the most excited of was I got to drive that truck, that weird looking truck.
The one where you're on the other side?
Yeah. Yep. You're driving on the right. I got to drive it and it was awesome. I loved it. You couldn't it was perfect. And then, I have epilepsy. And I was diagnosed with epilepsy about 8 years ago. And for whatever reason, they decided oh, you like delivering the mail? No, not anymore. So I had a seizure. And when you start having seizures again, you really shouldn't be driving a government vehicle around neighborhoods. Oh my God. So I had only been in the post office for about a month before that happened. And you just kind of have to mutually all right, well, we can't keep you. And there's nothing, being the government job that it is, they just can't slide you over from thing to thing. You have to vet that in, which I understand. I understand that. So, all right. And this dream, I got to do it, had to pivot. And we live in Cuna, me and my family, looking for work. I was out of work for about 5 months, recuperating, just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. I know that Indeed, the website Indeed is basically the fantasy section of the library at this point. Hey, look at all this stuff that's not real. And, but it was weird though. I was on there one day and there was an opening for a janitor position at this tiny school in Cuna that I'd never even heard of. I didn't even know it was real. I don't even think it's real. I applied and they sent me a automated thing of an automated quiz. Yeah. And it was pictures what is this? And it was a screwdriver. It was a hammer. It was all these different things. Okay, cool. And I got hired. I went and talked to the school. I got hired. My first day, they handed me the whole set of keys and took my picture and said, "Congratulations, you're the maintenance director of this little school, K through 8 again."
Okay.
But only 200 students. So 20 minutes later, answering your question, I work, I'm a janitor at an elementary school, and it is the most fun job I have ever had, and I will do it for as long as I physically can. I finally found something that just fits every box that a person needs for their mental health. It's wonderful. I get to perform for children all day long because my job is to make sure the bathrooms are clean, and I cover the lunch. So I get to see every kid every day while they're eating their lunch, which is their favorite time of day.
Of course.
And so this room that we do the lunch in is just class after class after class as they're cycling in. I get to see them all. I get to talk to them all. I get to make silly jokes and make them laugh. Rarely am I the bad guy. Because they have their class duties in there as well, the class paraprofessionals in there for the behaviors. So I just get to be a court jester every single day. It's awesome because rarely am I ever the disciplinarian. In fact, I hate being the disciplinarian if I have to. So I'm one of the few adults that expects nothing of them. I don't expect them to get their work done. I don't expect them to act a certain way. The only thing I expect them is like, hey, let's eat like people and not like little piggies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be a person that as an adult reflects to them, like, there's being adults, not all just taxes and stress.
Right.
Like you can be an adult and still just have a blast. And I freaking love that about doing this.
Oh.
Not expecting anything from them other than for them to have a good time. On Fridays, we will dance. I learned how to do the gritty from Fortnite poorly. So we do gritty Fridays. I'll do the gritty for them. I always wear like a fun t-shirt on Fridays. Normally I just wear my normal, just the school's t-shirt, but on Fridays, I'll wear a fun t-shirt and I try to find shirts that they recognize that they're into. So like K-pop Demon Hunters or whatever kids shows. I have no idea what these things are. And they're like, oh, you like K-pop Demon Hunters? Sure. Who's your favorite character? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me, who's your favorite character? The blonde? Yeah, totally. Yeah, she's my favorite. I don't know what these their characters are. Because it's really easy. It's really easy to relate to them if you just listen to what they have to say. Oh my gosh, it's awesome. Even the most disgusting days are like few and far between. I mean, it's cool. And then after lunch, I'm just cleaning the cafeteria, catching any calls of people that need anything. So it's a good balance of social interaction and those quiet moments. I personally do well with having like a set routine, but autonomy. I'll get everything done. I'm going to do it when I'll get it done. Just know that it's done. And it's rare to find in a job that's that way.
It is. To
where you get both of those two. And also, too, when you're done, there's a sense of accomplishment. You're done. Like when I worked at the hospital as the receptionist, when I got to work, I had a stack of papers over here.
Oh, geez.
And when I left, there's a stack of papers over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then a bunch of people that were really angry about the pandemic in front of me. And at the store, it was even worse because you would do backbreaking labor all day, emptying freight off of pallets over here. And then over here is a truck that opens up and it's full. Again, there's nothing ever stops or there's nothing that ever ends. But doing this is amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's not one of those glamorous jobs. Like it's not something like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I'm going to be a janitor at a school. Oh, yes, you do. If you if you enjoy the simple life, like it's not really, it's not glamorous work, but holy smokes, it's amazing. And it's absolutely amazing. And a privilege too, because like we all remember characters from our past. We all remember those people.
Yes.
I'll bet you if someone somewhere remembers the janitor at their school. I do.
Oh, yeah.
I remember mine.
Well, and I love how you said, too, that you are one of the few adults in these children's lives who don't have any expectations for them.
Yes.
Because that shit gets placed on us very early. Mm-hmm. And so to know someone who I have no expectations for you except to, not make a mess in the lunchroom. That's it.
Yeah. And they're going to make a mess, but not like, let's not throw our food.
Yeah.
Like we're certainly not going to throw our food, but like, just chill, relax. Yeah. This is a place to let your hair down. Mm-hmm. Be chill. In fact, I was just talking to my 11-year-old this morning about school, and because he's going into middle school this year, and I know it's crazy, and he has to go to school like an hour early, but he still gets out at the same time he has been. Oh, and he hates that. Like, why are we going to school like 7:30 in the morning? It's like, I will agree with you. I don't think you need to go to the school at 7:30 in the morning. You really don't. Like, what benefit are you getting from being there so early in the morning? I really, to this day, even working in a school, I don't understand why they start so early.
No, I'm not even here at my studio at 7:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Some days depends on the shoot, but
Well, yeah, those rare occasions, but yeah. To do that day after day after day, it's just nobody does their best work that early in the morning. I mean, I guess you could, but there's no that early is just so early for them. And even when we were in school, I can remember getting up at like 5 a.m. I had an hour school bus ride.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Even here in town, like back then, it was just so there wasn't as many like high schools. So I remember my bus ride being almost an hour.
Wow. Yeah. Remind me, did you grow up here in Boise?
Yep. Went to Meridian High School.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up over off of, so if you're listening to this other places like in the country or in the world, I went to the neighboring town's high school that was on the opposite side of that town. Oh. Because I lived on the district line. Literally, like to drive in your car is like back then was like a 30-minute drive from where I lived. We lived about a mile away from a place called the Birds of Prey place. Our Birds of Prey, Peregrine Falcon.
The one off Cole?
Yeah. Oh, way up there.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, there was a lot of like rich mansions up there, and we lived about a mile ahead of that. So it was just like a little basic house. So that's where I grew up in. Was right there on South Cole and Lake Hazel. And my bus ride, it was like an hour away. So yeah, to get up that early, I don't remember being worth a damn till like later in the morning. And to this day, I mean, my school, the school that I'm at is, it's really small. And they start at like 8 something. And I some days think that's way too early for some of these folks. It really is. But yeah, I told my kid, I was like, yeah, you guys shouldn't start this early. And I also, this is kind of, in the education world, this is kind of like a shocker. I don't think that summer should be off.
Okay.
I think that the 3-month, if they have to lump it all together to where it's like a 9-month thing, have the break during winter.
I agree.
Be done your first day of November. I'll see you February 1st. Cool. Because most of the time, depending on where you live, you're snowed in. There's snow half the day. You're gone for a week. You come back for 2 weeks. You can leave for 3 weeks for Christmas, and then you come back again.
Yeah.
Why just enjoy the holiday, enjoy the new year. Your books will be a lot easier to now. You don't have to figure out, okay, what school year was 23, 24, 24, 25. It's like it's tied in with the year. All those things. You can even tie it into the tax years, like you're not cutting that in half. But is what it is. Or break it up to where you have like 4.5 months and then you're off for a month and a half and then come back for another 4.5. I don't know. But that's whatever. So when I set it up, apparently I set it up wrong.
That is Joey's version of how we should all be going to school.
Yeah, sure. But like you said about just enjoy this, but like don't lose this. Don't lose that the whimsy or the nonsense or whatever that I wrote.
Yes.
Like, enjoy your time. There's a lot to enjoy, and if you're just going to get yelled at for not sitting upright and eating,
eating your vegetables,
screw that. Nowhere else in your life is it like that, where there's somebody literally standing there watching you eat. Yeah. So anyway.
I want to know. I'm watching our time too because I love talking
I don't want
to you.
Oh no, this is a blast.
I want to talk about your conversation with Grandma about being happy.
Oh yeah,
you shared that story with me, and I could read it, but I want everybody to hear it from you.
Yeah, so it's like going from kids in an elementary school. As you get older, you have these dreams and you have these things that you want to do, and you want to, in your head, you have it all planned out perfectly, and that never happens, and it will never happen. You can't. That's just not how life works, and that's okay. It really is. And I was to a point. Gosh, this was 15, 16 years ago. It was a while ago. I was at my grandparents' house. Now, my grandparents are actually they're still with us. They're very old school, and they're very They don't drink. They don't, like, growing up, they smoked back when you could, like, when it was like having a Monster Energy drink, you were just smoking all the time. They smoked and then that was it, but they never swore. They don't do any of that stuff. In fact, one year for Christmas, their neighbor from Korea gave them a bottle of sake for Christmas.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And my grandfather was very pleasant, was gracious. And then after their Christmas thing was over, he went outside, dumped it out in the ground because he didn't want anybody to become an alcoholic.
Well, I mean, that is, I thank you, yes, but don't waste sake.
Yeah. Anyway, they're just very sweet, wholesome people. And, but we never really had like these deep, serious conversations. This wasn't the nature of our relationship. And I was sitting there with my grandma one day. We were just sitting in her little sewing room, and we were just kind of talking about things. And I told her, like, out of the blue, I'm like, I don't know, man. I've just been having a hard time, like, just really finding happiness, just being happy in life, you know? It's kind of lamenting things that weren't going good at the time. And just out of nowhere, she looks at me and she goes, you know, Joey, you really shouldn't try to strive for happiness because you'll never find it. But if you strive for contentment, you will definitely find that. And I was just flabbergasted. Like, absolutely, it just struck me to my core that she said that. And at first, as I was starting to process it later on, you know, after the fact, at first I thought that was kind of like a downer concept in a way, because, you know, being disappointed, but like, all right, well, this is good enough. Because it's, you know, it's a nihilistic way to look at it. But then for some reason, it just kind of turned into a positive thing that, yeah, you're right. Even if you had everything going for you ever, if you never had strife, if you never had stress, if you never had any sort of obstacle in your way for anything, even if that was your situation, you're not going to be happy. Look at all these famous people that are miserable sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Absolutely miserable. But if you know you set these goals in life, and if you strive for these things and it doesn't happen, that doesn't necessarily mean you lost. You know, life is like a race of one, and when you get to the end, regardless, you've still won. Like, it's okay if you didn't achieve those goals. If you would ask me when I was 14, what do I want to do when I got older? It's like, oh, I don't know. I want to like help make movies for Industrial Light and Magic, or, do all these crazy things. I want to host SNL. I want to perform at evening at the Improv, or any of these things. But once you don't, you have these goals that you don't meet, that's not, like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because along the way, you've still got to experience a lot of fun things. But before we started talking, or before we started filming, I was talking about, even now sitting here, I would love to be able to drive from the length of Route 66 while you still can do most of it. Or I would love to go to Peru and walk the Nazca lines, or go to Australia and visit Steve Irwin's zoo, because he was one of my idols. Maybe I can do that. And that would be a lot of fun and be a blast to do something like that. But if that's not something that happens, that doesn't mean it was a wasted opportunity. And that doesn't mean that the drive to do that was wasted and didn't have value. Because when you sit and reflect, even if you're not like someone like us that likes to do like creative endeavors like films and podcasts and artistic things, even if only thing you did in life was like, I really like model trains, or I like doing crossword puzzles, like, even along that journey, you've done something in your life that has meaning, that was fun, that, you know, the cliche of like, you know, nobody on their deathbed talks about, like, they always talk about what they wish they would have done.
Yeah.
Go the opposite. Force yourself to think of it the other way, in my opinion. That, yeah, so you didn't get to, you know, climb, you know, Mount McKinley or whatever, but you got to see Mount McKinley. You got to, you know, you've done things in your life. Like myself, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get to like travel the world and see a lot of sights, but I've done some really weird, nutty things. I got to judge a chili contest in a dive bar a few years ago. Out of the blue, they messaged me and said, "Hey, you want to come and judge this chili contest?" I mean, you're damn right I will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would love to. Love to judge this chili contest. Who gets to do that? Okay, cool. Like, it was awesome. I taught myself how to juggle clubs, like the bowling pin things.
Oh.
So I got to do that at a circus-themed burlesque show. Like, if you're listening to this, I'm like 350 pounds. I'm like Tim Allen halfway through the first Santa Claus movie. But I put on some little booty shorts and juggled clubs at a circus-themed burlesque show. And it was like, cool, awesome. When I'm an old man, I'm going to tell my grandkids. Hopefully I tell my great-grandkids that, oh, yeah, it was ridiculous. And those little things, like when I talk to older people, because I work with some older people at school, working at the store, ran into a lot of older people. They will, I guarantee, if you really think about it, if you ask them about like these cool events in their life, whether, you know, it's like marriages or children and stuff like that, that is all wonderful stuff. That is amazing. Or if, oh yeah, like my grandparents, they went to Hawaii in like 86 and they, you know, they had a blast, you know, oh yeah, they'll tell you like, oh yeah, we went to Hawaii, which, you know, and they had the touristy thing. And that's awesome. Great. They dumped a bottle of sake out in the backyard because their Korean neighbors gave them some. And like when he told me that story, he looked at me and goes, you know, Joey, they're Korean, but they're good people. Cool. That's a more interesting story. That's cool. And I don't know. There's beauty in that. There's beauty in this, like the mundanity or whatever you want to call it of life that I sometimes think that people don't really appreciate. And that's what's been, and I'm 46 now. And as I'm going into the second half of my life, you know, I always joke that I had my midlife crisis when I was 27. So like the clock is ticking. It's those little things that at the end, I don't know, there's just really cool, interesting stories. And they don't have to be these weird, crazy things. You know, my spouse went, before we even met and got married, she went on these whirlwind trips to like Ireland and Scotland. And like, cool, that's great. Anybody's like trip they took was like a lot of fun. But while they were there at this one place, there was a car bomb there not too long ago when they were the first tourists to hit that little area.
Oh, wow.
That's really more, I mean, you could tell me, you know, oh yeah, Castle Killarney, whatever, was really pretty. But like, yeah, they narrowly missed a car bomb. Like, that's cool. And that's little tiny things. It's just amazing to me. And I think that's a good message. And I think that that's been, like I said, as I'm getting older, been like a real driving force. I mean, we've all had trauma too. Like we've all had terrible things. I've lost both of my parents and I'm 46. Things have been really, I mean, shoot, I was homeless I slept in my car for a couple nights. Like, and this was just like a few years ago. Like, and those situations are fun too. Like, I'm not fun, but like can tell interesting stories too. But like, I don't know, like some of the best ribs I ever had were at a truck stop in Mountain Home, Idaho. Like that kind of stuff is just, to me, that's what excites me. And when I hear stories from people and I talk to them about their life's journey and stuff, like those little things are way more interesting and more fun. And I think the sprinkles on the life sundae, I think just puts it over the top. And I think if I had a good positive message to go forward to, it's just like enjoy those little moments because they're awesome.
They are. I love that perspective because so many of us are striving for happiness and striving to like do the big things. Like you said, travel and this and that.
Take those big swings. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's happiness in the little tiniest of things.
And now that's by no means you shouldn't have drive. You know,
Yeah.
You want to hit those big swings. I started a YouTube show about vintage jigsaw puzzles. And I can't say that there wasn't a small part of my brain. It's like, I'm going to be, I could do this as a job. But I found like, it's way more enjoyable to just do this and to just enjoy this process. And, gosh, I talked for an hour one time about Milton Bradley. Like, who gets to take the time to read up and do a whole thing about Milton Bradley of all people? And like, you told me that was going to be something that happened or I would be endeavored to do. I was like, that's fantastic. And that the surprises of these little mundane things is what is really exciting too. The project I'm working on now is Thomas Kinkade. I got to tell this story because this has been wild. And again, early Thomas Kinkade and like what a goofy thing. You're familiar with Thomas Kinkade. Most people are. Those nice idyllic cabins and forests and things like that. Who was also a terrible person.
Really?
And Thomas Kinkade was a terrible person. Absolutely terrible. He was an artist, and he just he perfected this idyllic, unchallenging art style. People when I was doing research were calling it kitschy. I don't know if that was like appropriate, but like it was just it didn't emotionally challenge you. It was a comfort thing. It was just like a warm hug. But it also just kind of blends into the background after a while, after you've seen so much of it. But he developed this style, and he was a marketer more than, he was a great artist, but he knew how to market his stuff. And, so he's becoming world famous, and he was a total narcissist. He had drug problems, which I'm not faulting him. People have their things. They have drinking problems. People referred to him as the painter of light, is what it was called. No, he came up with that, and he called him that, and he trademarked it. He called himself the painter of light.
Oh,
yeah, and he referred to himself as not a masterpiece, but he referred to himself in a very grandiose way. He got kind of handsy with his people. No, thank you. There's a story where he was staying at one of the Walt Disney resorts, and he got all hammered, and he peed on a statue of Winnie the Pooh, and he said, "This one's for you, Walt." Yeah. Oh, so just terrible, terrible person. But as I'm researching him and learning more about what happened to him as time progressed, I don't know why I've related to him more than just about anybody that I've studied. So, for my YouTube jigsaw puzzle channel, I cover vintage jigsaw puzzles, and I try to find a human story somewhere within the project. My first puzzle I did for the channel was like an old barn from Vermont, right? And Vermont's a place I've always would like to live. I'd like to move to Vermont. I don't know why. It's just always stuck in me. Again, will I ever make it? Who knows? If I don't, it's okay. I live in a little small town in Idaho, and I work at an elementary school. kind of lost my train of thought there. So he strived so much for these goals that he had. And he went from designing backgrounds for Ralph Bansky, Bansky, movie called Fire and Ice, and he would actually painted backgrounds, and then he did his thing. He strived and he marketed himself. Well, then once that monster became too big, it really got away from him, and now it's really hard to find. Like he's passed away. His stuff got kind of like it does like blend into the background now. He started doing collaborations with Disney and other places, and now you're hard pressed to find anything that doesn't have a Disney character on it of his work.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And and the struggles that he had overtook him. He passed away of an overdose. But how I ended up relating to him was after he died, in his house, he had like a big vault kind of storage room. There's almost 6,000 paintings in there of nothing that you would associate with Thomas Kinkade.
Really?
Nothing. Nope. Like self-portraits, portraits of tanks, all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
All sorts of stuff. He had, but he never showed that to anybody. That wasn't who he was in public. He had all these struggles like behind the scenes that he never felt comfortable enough to share that. He was the painter of light. He was the darling of the late 90s, early 2000 Christian movement. Like all his stuff was in Christian bookstores. Like after he died, to find all these things about him is really fascinating. And getting to learn that aspect of him has been really, it's been almost a joy, because I've been able to understand somebody that on the surface is, a terrible person. And I don't want to sugarcoat that. He made terrible decisions, and he treated his people extremely disrespectfully and crossed many, many boundaries. And I would never make an excuse for that. But as I go to make an excuse for it, for him to not be able to show who he was, I think there's a tragedy in that, and almost a sadness, really.
Yeah.
They didn't even feel comfortable doing that, which really ties into like how I kind of internalized that was like, well, it's why I don't want to become like that. And that's why, like, you've seen my Facebook page talk about the school stuff. That's why I overshare on Facebook or trauma dump on people. I'm not trying to like steal spotlight or suck the energy out of the room, but like, for one, there's struggles out there.
Yeah.
But I can also, it's okay to laugh and giggle and make kids laugh or enjoy those simple things, because show your sensitive side. Enjoy those little things. One day I was waiting for my ride at the school and the sprinklers were on. Nobody was there. Y'all, I spent like a half hour running through the sprinklers, having the time of my life. And I was 45 years old.
I love that.
Like, again, that's the stuff that I'm going to talk about with my grandkids. Like, go run around in the sprinkler. Who cares?
Yeah.
Don't be so far up yourself that you have to put on a fake persona to be. Don't be a method actor in life.
Yes.
Whoa, look at that.
Look at that.
What a long journey that we found ourselves in. Enjoy those little moments and cannot take yourself too seriously. You will. Why? To what point? When, like I mentioned earlier, that marathon of one that you're in, you will win, and you would have been the only competitor, and so enjoy that.
Yeah.
take comfort in that. It's not a sad thing to have to move your own goalposts and to overcome those things.
It's not.
We have mutual friends that have gone through some serious shit, and every time I see them, they're always a treasure. They're just almost a delight to be around. If you don't want us to talk about Colleen, we won't. But
We can.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, Colleen, our mutual friend. Oh my gosh, the fact that woman is still standing is freaking amazing, and she always has a smile on her face, and she always seems to be. Just, I try to think that I try to like purposely try to stay a positive guy. Oh, I've got nothing. She's got nothing on. I've got nothing on. She wins hands down. Like the fact that lady can still smile, and that's very admirable. That she is her unique self. Every time I've talked to her, she shared some of the struggles she's having and the joys. I was talking to her the other day, a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about some struggles she had. She was having some serious financial problems because she's really sick and her family's been really sick and she's had a lot of loss. And she was telling me all these things, but then she said that, but my son came over the other day and he brought some Chinese food dish that she loved, and it was amazing. It was so good. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. Hell yeah, that's freaking just awesome. Because we've all been with those struggles. I mentioned the other day that, or mentioned earlier that. There's a few nights where I had to sleep in my car and again, this was just a few years ago. But in the back of the car was like this goofy lamp that I've carried from place to place to place that I've always lived that my friend gave me. It's a ceramic matador, and it's like 3 feet tall. I'm like, heck yeah, man! Like, I'll sleep in a parking lot with my matador lamp. Hell yeah, that is awesome.
Yes.
So those little things where she had this delicious meal that she loved. When all this nut stuff is happening around her, dude, that's amazing. I love it.
And she'll be the first one to ask how you're doing. I actually texted her this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't heard from her in a couple of weeks. And so I was like, hey, checking in. How are you? And she wrote back her very short answer and she said, how are you? Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. It's always been that way with her. And that I think is it's an admirable trait. And it is something that I personally strive for, just to enjoy that stuff and to, moving those goalposts in life and overcoming those things with a smile on your face. There's a lot to be said with that, for sure.
There is. And it takes a very special person to do that because we've both known and been through some really hard times ourselves.
Absolutely. Yep.
Emotionally, mentally. And to be able to come out of that is...
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah, to be able to come out of that and, but like not make that who you are.
Yeah.
Like we can all just sit here and like, oh yeah, I lost my parents and I'm homeless and things suck and everything is terrible. And the day I die will be the happiest day. Like, I mean, you can do that, but I don't know why. You don't.
Yeah.
But you don't want to. I also feel like we're kind of not minimizing, like mental health struggles.
Yeah.
Like, some people physically cannot do that, and that's to be appreciated and be mindful of.
Yeah.
And even when they're able to find those good moments in life, like that's to be celebrated too.
Absolutely.
So just to put that out there that we're not trying to minimize trauma.
No.
So for sure. Yeah.
Good note there. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Side note there that we don't want to minimize trauma.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Put those sprinkles on your sundae. It's amazing.
And don't count them in your macro counter.
Yeah, don't count them in your macro counter. Yep. There's beauty in contentment.
Yes, there is.
Some people will find beauty in contentment, but don't strive to be happy. You'll lose, but be content in what you've got going on.
Yeah.
And never settle. I'm not saying settle, but enjoy those things because it's fleeting. So
it is. Well, before we started rolling, I was telling you about how sometimes I go to schools and talk about filmmaking and stuff like that. So one of the big questions that the kids always ask me is, why aren't you in Hollywood?
Yep.
And my answer is, you don't have to be. You can follow your dreams of making movies or whatever your dream is. You can do that right in your hometown. You can do that in the next town. You can do that wherever you want. It doesn't have to be chasing that big lofty goal. If you have it, go try.
Do it. Yeah.
I did try it. It was awesome. I loved my experience in California. And now I'm here in Boise, and I am doing this here the way that I know how. And I love this.
Oh, yeah. And there's amazing stuff coming out of this town.
Yes.
You've done some amazing stuff. I've seen some amazing stuff. I've been blessed to be a part of a lot of amazing stuff. And tying to what you said, too, like, yeah, we all have these dreams of going there. One of the best compliments I ever received was actually when this project started, my YouTube show started. It's always rough. It's just a simple thing. I'm in my garage in front of a shelf full of puzzles. It's kind of almost embarrassing, really, how many of these thrift store puzzles are there. But I'll tell you, there's maybe $60 total on that wall of just puzzles.
That's amazing.
That's what I love about this hobby, is because it's capitalistic proof. Anyway, so I started it, and it was really cool. And I was talking to somebody about it, and they said, well, the best compliment was not that it was great. I was kind of lamenting, like, well, it's not, I'm not figuring this out and how to make this work. And it's like, but you're doing it. You did it.
You're doing it. Yes.
You're enjoying it.
Yes.
You know how many amazing ideas and world-changing ideas have stopped here?
Yeah.
And never happened here?
Yep.
Coming through, growing up in like in high school and stuff, and doing a lot of theater, as I've gotten older as well. The most ridiculous moments of that, it even happens during film shoots too, the most ridiculous moments ever, and I think it's the most wasted use of, the most wasted source of potential is, it's always the late night Denny's dinners after the final performance, or the cast party, the wrap party. Because the plans and ideas that are generated in those environments are batshit insane, and probably the most beautiful things that would ever have been made if they happened beyond that space. Like, if you really want to find some sort of creative nonsense, that's where you'll go to find it, because it is unbelievably bizarro and beautiful. The things that people, the ideas, because you've got that high of creating something, and you don't want to let go of it, because when you do, there's always a post-show crash. So you're still holding on to it, and you know that it's fleeting. You know that it's going to go away. You don't want to, and you want all your people, your cast members that you enjoy working with, you want to continue that.
Yes.
So like you'll either like write whole shows or recast a well-known show, and like all these nutty things. I'm like, what if we did Little Shop of Horrors and we'll make Joey as Seymour? Like, what? No. Actually, no, that's going to be a blast. Let's do that. Yes, I would love to play Seymour. Heck yeah. But can I play Sorry.
You'd be a great Seymour.
I would be a great Mr. Mushnick.
Both, but I think you would be awesome at Seymour.
I think Seymour was always one of my roles. You always have your little list of things you kind of want to, it'd be kind of fun to do. Seymour was on them. I honestly think the dentist would be awesome to play.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I will say, just because I like to put it out in the air, and I've mentioned it before, like on my Facebook and in other projects, I do have a dream role that I would love to play.
Tell me.
Again, if you're listening to this, 46, I'm a hairy old man. I would love to play Edna Turnblatt from Hairspray. The mother.
Oh.
Yeah. The Magnificent Divine played her. Harvey Fierstein played her. Even John Travolta played her.
Mm-hmm.
And they all played her differently. And every time I see that, either the old John Waters one or the music, which I love the musical, that character isn't just a boy in a dress clown. It's not. She's a real person. She's very self-conscious. You could tell that she came from a place like she felt good about herself in her life. She had self-worth, and then she let that self-worth go and kind of retreated into being somewhat of like afraid of the world, kind of didn't feel like she gave any value to the world. And her husband, who loved her, got into his old world and didn't really show her, like, didn't really appreciate her feelings. I never got the sense of a maliciousness from the different versions that I've seen. And if you're not familiar with the play Hairspray or the movie Hairspray, I apologize, but it's worth looking into. And through the course of the show, her daughter that's really into, it takes place in the 60s. The world changed. I don't know that the world changed more in a decade than from 1950 to 1960. Maybe in the current state we are now. I think there's some good things on the road coming up because they suck right now. But so coming into like a new era of society and learning to accept herself, and she has value to herself and finds that in a form of acceptance, and really connecting with her husband, who didn't maliciously, wasn't like ignoring her, or just he didn't see the pain that she was in. And she's not like the main focus of the show, but there's just an aspect of that I really connect with for some reason. And to be able to have the opportunity to try that out, she's always been played by other drag performers or things like that. I don't know, just to have an opportunity like that to tell that story, to be a part of that story it would be really cool, and I would find it very relatable, and I think that would be a lot of fun to play Edna Turnblatt. So if you're producing Edna Hairspray in the Treasure Valley area, my name is Joey. I don't know.
Love
Sorry,
it.
weird tangent there, but I just had to put that out there that Edna Turnblatt, it would just be fantastic.
I love it. I think it would be, and maybe I might produce my first theater show here and do that.
See, that's that end of show euphoria. We'll just do Hairspray.
We'll just do Hairspray. Exactly.
Let's do it.
We're heading into our Denny's era.
Exactly. And we'll set it in space, but we will be cowboys.
And there will be zombies.
And there will be zombies. Absolutely. Hairspray 3000.
I love it. I have one final question for you.
Oh, of course.
When everything external falls away, like our titles and our labels, who are you, Joey Maxey, at your core?
Remember in the questionnaire you sent me about, and I said that I like to be surprised by questions.
Mm-hmm.
I was lying.
Wow, we have
it is
a big
storming
ass
here.
storm
If you
outside.
can't, that's being picked up. So, I actually, when I did a show with our mutual friend Allison years ago, and there was a review of the play we were in. And it was a time when they would just say something, a little blurb, about each person, just blah, 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 whatever. It wasn't anything like, oh my gosh, like who cares? And I think they just took names from the program and came up with it. But the person that reviewed the play, what he, like the scribble that he wrote for me actually was fitting in a really beautiful way. Not that I'm like, think of myself as like this amazing thing, but we're all our own. I mean, we're all our own main characters and our own stories, right? But what he wrote was amazing, and I think it's great. He said, because I play like an idiot in the play, he said Joey Maxey was affably dim-witted. Oh, is what he said. Mm-hmm. And at first I didn't know what affable meant, and it was just easygoing, somewhat agreeable. Like, I mean, I guess like no, like good, like it was a positive thing, but it wasn't like overtly over the top positive or negative. Just like very synonymous with like, you know, easygoing, agreeable, not. So I think that if when it's all said and done, actually I like that, affably dim-witted, because I'm curious and I'm interested enough to want to learn new things. Mm-hmm. But man, oh man, am I happy to just enjoy it, and but in a way that's still like, I don't know, easygoing and agreeable, but like, I don't know. So yeah, titles are stripped away. Joey Maxey, affably dim-witted, I think is, what more could you really say?
That is beautiful. I love it.
In its own weird way, because not taking yourself too seriously, and you're not going to want to ruffle any feathers. So why not?
Yeah. And everybody check out Joey's YouTube channel, Janky Puzzles.
Janky Puzzles. Yep. Janky is a word that's kind of like shoddily made. Not very, kind of sketchy, but so when you deal in thrift store puzzles, most of the time the boxes are damaged and the pieces are missing. But I think that's beautiful.
The next time I find one, I'm going to get it for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
I might have some at home. I'll have to see. I had to move out of my house recently because of a flood.
Oh,
and
yikes.
so now I'm moving back in, which means everything had to get packed out and packed back in. And I'm currently unpacking all my board games, which I don't play because I live alone and Frodo can't play a Monopoly.
I got to tell you.
But I might have puzzles.
Frodo, he must have the One Ring, because like that dog's amazing. And it's amazing that dog is sitting there. I'm saying that with a heart full of love. Like when you mention, oh yeah, that's my dog Frodo. I'm like, what?
Because you met him.
I met him.
And so Frodo doesn't like people.
Nope, he doesn't.
But there were moments where I would bring him out, and it was during one of our readings, because I have pictures of it, and Frodo sat there while we did a reading of Retreat in my old house. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I said, we were my 11-year-old that was cooking.
Yes.
And when I first met Frodo, and he said, like, your dog Frodo? Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I had a dog named Blackie when I was 10. It was just as shocking as if I'd say, oh yeah, my dog Blackie, that's still, that's amazing. That's wonderful. So again, I'm not trying to say anything sad. I think that's like fantastic.
Mr. Frodo's
Mr. Frodo, he does have the One Ring somewhere on him, his person.
He wanted to come here today. I saw it as I walked out of the house, and he jumped off the couch and followed me to the front door. And I was like, honey, not today. You have to stay home. But yeah, I should have brought him because it's you.
Maybe. You know, animals have their own personalities, and you just got to be chill with them. You know.
Yes, you do.
Yep. So,
okay. Well, with that, because I don't want to keep you much longer.
I would do this for hours. But
I know. Same.
We got time, or we got stuff to do.
Thank you so much, Joey. I loved this.
Thank you. Like it was an honor. Like it was kind of a teasing thing. I'll be on your show, and like, yeah, I'm like. Cool. Thank you. Like, this is fantastic. It's been nice to reconnect again. Because you've always been one of my favorite people. And And I'm not just like blowing smoke. Like I genuinely mean that. Like the opportunities and the connections that I've made just by meeting, just it's unspeakable. Like just the gifts that I've been blessed with, just getting to know you and meeting you has just been. All right, I'm done glazing you up. You're fine.
Thank you. Okay.
This is a nice place, whatever. No, thank you. This has been a pleasure, and I could do this every day.
You'll be back. I know you will, because we didn't even cover half of this shit on my list.
God, this thing she sent me to fill out, it was like a 2-hour dissertation on different things. I'm like, I just want to give enough to throw out there. You drive, yeah. No, this has been a blast. I've been so nice. I've been amazing.
You've been amazing.
Which camera do you guys like?
Yeah, which is the better angle here?
And if you've been listening, you're most welcome.
Thank you,
Steph,
all.
thank you. Mm-hmm.
And tune in next time for another The Essence of You podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.